in the Russian forest, where the paths vanish and the trees have no name, there is a legend, a story whispered to frightened children. They say there is a hut that walks on chicken legs, and inside lives a witch with iron teeth who eats the bones of those who get lost. But what if you were sent to find her on purpose? Our story comes from the world of the old Rus, a land of endless birch forests and harsh, unforgiving winters. It was a world where civilization was a small, warm circle of light around the village fire, and the vast, dark forest was a place of mystery, danger, and magic. The people knew that not everything that lived in the woods was an animal. Ancient spirits and powerful beings dwelt there, and it was wise to fear them. In one such village lived a merchant and his daughter, Vasilisa. She was known to all as Vasilisa the Beautiful, but her happy childhood ended when her mother fell gravely ill. On her deathbed, her mother gave her a final gift, a tiny doll. "Keep this with you always," she whispered. "When you are in trouble, give it a little food and a little drink and ask its advice. It will help you." This doll was the last piece of her mother's love. Her father remarried, but his new wife was a cruel and jealous woman. She and her two daughters hated Vasilisa for her beauty and her gentle spirit. They tormented her, forcing her to do all the work, hoping to wear her down with endless toil. But with the secret help of her magical doll, Vasilisa always finished her tasks, her beauty never fading. This only made her step-family hate her more. They began to plot a way to get rid of her for good. One night, the stepmother put out every fire in the house. "We have no light," she declared. "You, Vasilisa, must go into the forest to the hut of my old friend, Baba Yaga, and ask her for an ember." This was a death sentence. Everyone knew that Baba Yaga devoured anyone who came near. Terrified but obedient, Vasilisa consulted her doll, who told her, "Do not fear, go where you are sent." And so she began her journey into the dark wood. She walked for what felt like an eternity, deeper and deeper into the forest where no human dared to tread. Finally, she came to a clearing and saw a sight of pure horror. There stood a hut, propped up on giant chicken legs, and surrounding it was a fence made of human bones. Atop each post was a human skull, its empty eyes glowing like demonic lanterns. The gate was not a gate at all, but a set of human legs, and the lock was a mouth filled with sharp teeth. Suddenly, a great noise filled the forest. The wind roared and the trees bent and creaked. Flying through the air came Baba Yaga herself, riding in a giant mortar, pushing herself along with a pestle, and sweeping away her tracks with a broom. She landed, and the hut turned to face her, the bony legged which sniffed the air. "I smell a Russian," she screeched. "Who is there?" Trembling, Vasilisa stepped out and explained her errand. "Very well," Baba Yaga snarled. "You will have your fire, if you can earn it. First, clean my house. Then, sort this pile of corn, kernel by kernel, and remove all the black bits. Then, separate this pile of poppy seeds from this pile of dirt. If you are not done by the time I return, I will eat you for dinner." And with that, she flew away, leaving Vasilisa to her impossible labors. Vasilisa began to weep, knowing she could never finish. But then she remembered her mother's gift. She took out the doll, fed it a small piece of her bread, and explained her predicament. The doll's eyes seemed to gleam. "Do not worry, my dear," it whispered. "Say your prayers and go to sleep. The morning is wiser than the evening." Vasilisa did as she was told, and while she slept, the doll completed every single task perfectly. The next day, as she waited, Vasilisa witnessed a strange sight. At dawn, a rider in white on a white horse galloped past, and it became day. At noon, a rider in red on a red horse galloped past, and the sun shone brightly. At dusk, a rider in black on a black horse galloped by, and the world was plunged into night. When Baba Yaga returned and asked who they were, Vasilisa correctly answered, "They are your faithful servants, bright day, the red sun, and dark night." Baba Yaga was pleased by her perception. Baba Yaga saw that all her tasks were completed. She was not angry, but intrigued. She knew Vasilisa could not have done it alone. "How did you manage it?" she asked. Remembering her doll's final warning, Vasilisa answered humbly, "By my mother's blessing." This was the correct answer. Baba Yaga did not tolerate those who were too curious about her affairs. Because Vasilisa was a blessed daughter, Baba Yaga could not harm her. She had passed the test. "You have earned your fire," the witch said. She took a glowing skull from her fence, mounted it on a pole, and handed it to Vasilisa. "Take this home. Do not look back, and do not be afraid." The fire within the skull's eyes burned with an unnatural, intelligent light. Vasilisa thanked the witch, and holding the terrifying lantern before her, she began the long journey home. When she reached her home, her stepfamily ran out to meet her, eager for the fire, but the skull's burning eyes stared directly at them. The fire, a magical fire that could see into the wickedness of their hearts, leaped from the sockets and consumed them in a flash. The stepmother and her 2 daughters were reduced to nothing but a pile of ash. The evil they had sent into the world had returned to destroy them. Now free from her tormentors, Vasilisa found lodging with a kind old woman in the city. With her doll's help, she wove a piece of linen so impossibly fine that it could be passed through the eye of a needle. The cloth was presented to the Tsar himself, who declared he had never seen such craftsmanship. He demanded to meet the one who made it. When he saw Vasilisa, he was struck not only by her skill, but by her profound beauty. The Tsar fell in love and made Vasilisa his queen. She brought her father to live in the palace and kept her mother's doll with her always. And Baba Yaga, she remains in the forest, a terrifying but necessary force. She is not simply evil, she is a test. She destroys the wicked and the foolish, but rewards the brave, the virtuous, and the respectful. The legend teaches us that the dark forest holds great dangers, but for those with a pure heart and a courageous spirit, it also holds the greatest rewards.